you're walking into and what you see. The flags that you see all over the world, there's 11 different flags in the United States, military and civilian operations, including the new one. And there's another one. When President Obama on election day was elected, if you look at the pictures on all the newspapers across the United States, you saw this flag hanging behind Obama. It's a New World Order flag. It has a circle of stars, a blue square field, and it's 1 to 2.25. They also had another one with 50 stars, 1 to 2.25. That was the United States Treasury flag. The flag that's 3 by 4 with a blue square field is a military boat flag. All vessels in dry dock on planet Earth, like your own personal house, the school building, these are all vessels in dry dock. They should be flying a 3 by 4 boat flag. The flag over here with yellow fringe on it, see if I can. This is a 1 to 1.9. I recognize this is old. This is a very old flag, by the way. When you take the flag and you fold it like this, corner to corner, and then you take it and you put it up here to the corner, it should only have one stripe showing, which does. So this is a 1 to 1.9 flag. By putting a fringe on it, you say that the contract for the United States of America, or the better known as the Constitution, has been captured by the yellow fringe, which is the court flags, maritime law. It says your contract is null and void because they put a phoenix on top. So the wingtips pointed down is a Vatican banking phoenix. Wingtips up is a your postal eagle. I call it the postal chicken. The acorn, as you see, the acorn is for military parades. It's a military symbol, ACC meaning no contract. The spear is for military court-martials. And the ball is for military advertising and military recruiting. Henceforth, you have it in front of the post office with the ball on top. And inside the post office, you have the eagle on top because the post office is postal. Henceforth, you're in the postal building, but outside, it's where you sign up for the draft. Everyone you turn 18, you got to sign up for the draft. You've got, 90 days after your 18th birthday, do so. The 3 by 5 flag is a military flag with a blue square field. It's used for parades. The reason that they have this flag, not the 1 to 1.9 flag, is because of the weight of the flag would hang down, whereas in a marching at 3 miles an hour, the wind would catch it and it would be aloft because of its weight. The 1 to 1.9 flag I now hold copyrights to is the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar flag, recognized worldwide, both in black and white and in color, red, white, and blue. The 3 by 5 base flag has a 3 by 4 field, and this is for military bases. The ones they sell at Walmart are 3 by 5 with a blue square field. That is a military flag. And when the sentence runs like this, when they come looking for your jurisdiction, what flag are you flying? If you've got a military base flag outside your door, don't be surprised if the military can go ahead and set up camp in yours, because you've given it military jurisdiction to start with. When you have my flag on my business card, and of all things, I forgot my business cards today. I've only got, I think, 5 of them here with me. 5 or 6 of them. I got a couple here. I think I got 6 of them. I got about 50 of them back at the house. So what we're going to do is, raffle. Huh? No, not raffle. Now these cards, I'm sorry I forgot them. My business cards are like get out of jail free cards. You put these on your driver's licenses and you get pulled over by the cops. They take one look at it. On the back of the cards, the procedures to prosecute judges and attorneys and police officers. They take one look at that and they start reading it and going like, oh, he belongs to that group. This group is not allowed in the courthouse. They won't give you a citation. Thursday last week, I blew a stop sign on the phone with no seatbelt. The police officer was right there, sitting. I mean, I blew right past him. He comes pulling up behind me and he goes like, Dave, he goes, he says, you know me? He says, yeah, I've been in your house about 4 times. He says, I know, you live right across the street over here. He says, were you on a cell phone? I says, no, I was singing to the music. He says, I see you got your seatbelt on. He says, but you know you blew a stop sign right in front of me. I says, well, actually I had my hand up and I had a cramp in my neck. I says, and I was massaging it, so I was pushing on it and I had my head tipped a little. And that's why I probably didn't see the stop sign. As simple as that. He says, well, pay attention. Here's your license back. And he goes and he says, federal judge. He says, yeah. He goes, yeah, I know you're a federal judge. I already pulled your file because I've been to your house several times. He says, pay attention.
When you use that and you show it to a regular cop, will he know?
Huh?
I've never heard of it yet.
I'll give the cameraman here, so he's got to have references. Huh? Here, pass it back to him. We'll have to get some more.
I have mine attached to my license, and I get accidentally driving 42 in a
30 zone, 12 over. Oh, 25 school zone, yeah. That's public safety violation.
Yeah, so he looked at it, and I said, are you sure you want to do this? After he brought the ticket back, he ordered me out of the car now. I mean, he yelled at me. And I said, wait, I said, am I under arrest? And he said, no. I said, am I free to go? He said, yes. I took the ticket and left.
See, now, if you would leave your vessel, you're a captain of your vessel.
Right.
If you leave your vessel and stand on the street, then you're a vagrant.
I was not going to get out.
And therefore, you were under arrest.
I was not about to get out of my car.
One of my students called me up the other night and he says, I got a ticket, Dave, can you make it go away? I'm going, how much was it? 87 and a 55. That's 32 over. That's public safety violation. He says, all the cars were driving that fast in LA on the expressway. And I says, he singled me out. It's still public safety. You blow a tire at 87 miles an hour and you're going to be so much scrap metal rolling down the highway, taking everybody else out with you. I says, no, I ain't going to stand by that.
I just said, I'll see 150 go.
Yeah, when it comes to school zones, you won't get, school zone is public safety. You got to watch out for children because they don't pay attention. They run across streets. And you tag a kid, I'll tell you what, they're going to throw away the key on you, especially if you're going fast like that. So but this one here, I'm going to give you guys a history lesson in a minute. This one here, this won the 2.25 flag. I went to Washington, D.C., and I had one of the 1934 gold certificates from China. This was on original clay paper with butterfly ink. And it was an original copy of a $500 million note. My surrender commission is $50 million for surrendering a document. Secret Service showed up and wanted to arrest me for passing fraudulent documents. And I had 6 inches of credentials out of New York State Bank to verify it. He says, where's the rest of it? He says, there's $8.7 billion on this package. I says, well, it's in Austin, Texas. I gave him the address. Well, they surrounded the property and they got the guy with the rest of the notes. He wound up with 8 years in prison. As a federal judge, though, being at the United States Treasury, I says, I want a receipt for that. I says, I'm turning over United States government property to the United States government to be put back into the Treasury. The 8 officers of the United States Treasury all came into the room to meet me and to review the note, along with the 2 Secret Service agents, and they wrote me out a receipt for the note. He says, if this is legitimate, we owe you $50 million. So 10 days later, I called back and I asked for each one of the individuals. They no longer worked there. The note disappeared. I think everybody took a commission, including both Secret Service agents, and they all retired elsewhere. But I never got paid. Then the guy says to me, where's your bodyguards? How can you transport this much money and not be captured? I says, you ever hear the word secrecy? It's the best fault in the world. So, I'm going to do a little history lesson for everyone, since how everyone has never... I go to universities, colleges, high schools, and you'll never see this in any of the schools taught. (1775), the United States of America goes to France and borrows 1.6 million francs to go ahead and fight the Revolutionary War against England. The war rages on for 7 years. In 1782, they now owe 2 million francs to the French. So the United States of America, 13 colonies, file bankruptcy, domestic, against because they can't pay it, they just come out of a war and they got no money. 1789, 17th of September. The United States of America cannot pay back the 3 million francs now. So England, Rothschild, goes ahead and buys the $3 million note, throwing in the United States into a 70-year international bankruptcy. Add 70 years to the Declaration, the Constitution of the United States of America was written, and the Congress would not sign it, so they put the Bill of Rights on top of it. They signed the Bill of Rights, but it was bonded, so therefore the Constitution of the United States was signed because of the bonding. The Declaration of Independence. D means no. Claire means speak. At is location. ION is contract. In means no. D means no. Pend means write. Ants means contract. You shall not write contract and you shall not speak contract. Benjamin Franklin. The is an adverb. You got a prepositional phrase of the, but they split it. The is an adverb making declaration a verb. Of is an adverb making independence a verb. Both false and misleading statements and fictitious conveyance of grammar. Henceforth, the Declaration of Independence is being sold at auction as a meaningless document written by a French attorney who was hired by the English crown to capture the United States of America and the founder of the Continental Congress. Welcome to treason at its first course, Benjamin Franklin. Since I brought this out in 1995, there's been eight major books published on Benjamin Franklin's treason as being bigger than Benedict Arnold, for those of you who know Benedict Arnold.
How should you write that?
Huh?
How should you write that?
Well, not declaration. S apostrophe. Maybe creative. What's another word for improvement? Quality. Something like that. For the people's knowledge of the Constitution is with the claim of the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, with the rights and freedoms of the creative quality of our lives. Fill it in. Huh?
That's what I was thinking.
See, yeah, you throw me a question, I just cuff it off, how to be correct. I wrote the Constitution for the United Nations. I used the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of England, France, Fiji, Australia, and Hawaii. Took the best of all of it, quantumized it, and the Constitution of the United Nations. And I wrote a new 59-paragraph Constitution for the United Nations and was endorsed by all 200 countries. It was then customized for Ireland, which got them their new independence from England after 660 years of war with England. And it only took 72 hours for me to do that. So if you need if you got a question, I got an answer to an impossible question. And syntax will give you that information. 70 years. 1859, September 17th. Now, if we add no law becomes legal for 90 days from September 17th, plus 45-day trust law, you got the bombing of Fort Sumter in 1860. And the South breaks away from the North. Oh yeah, there's also a 3-day rescission act. So you had to follow timelines. These timelines were set up 4700 BC. Give you a rough estimate. So it's been 6,700 years running. And these timelines have never changed. The Civil War starts. Add 70 years, 1859, 1929, November 2nd. Was presidential election day, November 2nd. The United States of America says we are coming out of our international bankruptcy with you. It's called the Year of Jubilee, the forgiving of all debts. Now, England says, all right, you're going to end the bankruptcy. 5-day rule applies. We have to give a 5-day notice to all banks and credit unions that we're going to close the banks and credit unions on November 2nd. That was posted on October 29th. Anybody remember that date? Stock market crash threw us into the Great Depression. The dollar went from $1 to 10 cents in value globally. Same thing happened when Russia came out of bankruptcy with Rothschild. It went from $1 Russian to 10 cents Russian. So they had to cut down half the Black Forest in Russia for fuel, pull out all their gold, silver, oil, and timber. It took them 10 years to get everything up and running. When they turned off the money, they turned off the power, and everything ran on steam in 1989 when Russia came out of bankruptcy. And therefore, everything froze solid. It was the wintertime when they came out and broke all their turbines because it was all water operated, and everything froze and broke. So their whole infrastructure was destroyed. And Russia went dark for 10 years. Really had no power. Half the population on any given time was cutting trees for fuel in all the cities. And they wound up cutting down half the forest in Russia, which was a huge, huge oxygen producer here on planet Earth. And that's why our oxygen, our CO2 levels in 1960 stood at 998 parts per million. And at the top of the volcano at Mauna Lea monitoring station in Hawaii, 6 weeks ago I was up there, it stood at 4,020. It has gone up from 1960 to 2010, 50 years, from 990 to 4,020. And then you wonder why I have global warming. Okay, so the bankruptcy was renewed on September 17th, was retroactive renewed to September 17th, 1929. Because you have to add 45-day trust law to September 17th and you get November 2nd. Ever wonder why we have the first Tuesday in November, November 2nd? Because it's 45 days after the Constitution of the United States International Bankruptcy was signed on September 17th, 1789. Add another 70 years and you get 1999, November 2nd. Just happens to fall on that date.